Welcome to Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour. Veterans Air is your host for news, talk, and uncensored commentary here on Lone Star Community Radio. I'm your host, Douglas B. You can listen to us live the first Tuesday of every month on VeteransAir.us and on Conroe's FM 106.1, 104.5. This month, we're going to be spotlighting the Military Veteran Peer Network with Ashley Taylor, so be sure to stay tuned. And coming up at the end of the show, I can tell you all about the local events that are happening for June and July, and there's a bunch of them. We need to do some housekeeping as always, so let's do that now before we get started. You can contact Veterans Air through our website, www.VeteransAir.us, or leave us a message. Or even better yet, you can text. And that text will come right here to the studio on our Google phone number, 936-344-3083. I'll let you know that we have a new co-host here at Veterans Air, and he'll be with me every time that we're on the air. And let me introduce to you to our new co-host, Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doug. I'm happy to be here and ready to give commentary.
Well, tell us about yourself.
I'm from Conroe graduate. Served in the Army in the 125th. Not the cool one in Hawaii, the cold one in Alaska. Served for 4 years and did a tour in Afghanistan.
And the Sandbox. Love it well.
Yeah.
Hey, Texas, listen up. Were you affected by the floods last week? Lord knows I was. It's nice waking up and having water in your bedroom, isn't it? Well, you know what? The governor has signed a disaster proclamation, and as soon as the president signs it, which we're hoping that he will, we might get some help down here for all of us that did get flooded out. I want to let you know that you're not alone, that there are some things out there that can help you out. So head on over to www.disasterassistance.gov. This is the FEMA site, and you can register online for a claim for anything that you lost or whatnot. Now, they currently have the disaster proclamation only for the floods that happened April 25th. But I've personally talked to FEMA, and they say that you should register now, get your register claim number and all that other good stuff, so when the disaster document, relief fund or whatnot, is actually implemented, then you can get your claim will already be filed. Hey, listen, go on over there. It can't hurt, right? www.disasterassistance.gov. Another good source is your County Emergency Management Office. Now, here in Montgomery County, it's the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management. And you can find them also on the web. They're at www.mctxoem.org. Or you can reach out to them by phone and call the Emergency Operations Center main line at 936-523-3900. Conroe and the surrounding areas, you've heard me give a shout out to this guy before. I think it was on the last show I gave him a shout out. But during the floods, he went above and beyond, so I'm going to give him another shout out right here. He deserves it. Steve over at Escape Tree Removal is number one in my book, this guy is. And for more information about him, you can call 281-389-0476. He was nice enough to come and chainsaw me out of my house. Conroe, did you go last Monday to the American Legion's second annual Great Conroe Hot Dog Giveaway? I can't talk today. If you didn't, you should have. I got to tell you, it was a great time. And you can go on over and check out the pictures of this event on Post 411's Facebook page, facebook.com/American Legion Conroe. The outpouring, I went to the event, and I got to tell you that the outpouring of support from the community for this event, it was very, very heartwarming. This is the second year of what looks like it's going to be a traditional yearly event, and it was even better than last year. Strange thing, though, and I'm hoping that this doesn't become an annual thing. Last year, the first annual Great Conroe Hot Dog Giveaway was right after the floods. The second annual Great Conroe Hot Dog Giveaway was right after the floods. I'm seeing a pattern develop here, and I'm hoping it doesn't continue. Let me tell you what happened. So the event started at noon with a traditional memorial ceremony befitting the day. The VFW American Legion Combined Honor Guard posted the national colors and the post colors, and local singer-songwriter Cheyenne James sang our national anthem. And let me tell you, if you haven't heard Cheyenne sing, you're missing out. Next up were the guest speakers, and normally you would think that this is like boring or some politico talking about himself, but not here. The guest speakers were our very own Montgomery County Judge Craig Doyle and Sheriff-elect Rand Henderson. And I don't care what political party you are. It doesn't matter what your political party is. These two men, they get what it means to have served in uniform. The judge even presented Post 411 with a proclamation honoring the servicemen and women on Memorial Day. And you can go ahead and see that proclamation over on the Post's Facebook page. So what about the event, you ask? Okay, here's some stats because, I'm a stats man. I like to get numbers. There were 400 plus hot dogs served at the event. And a special thanks goes out to HEB on 105 and 336 because they donated all the hot dogs and the buns for the event. And if you see Zach Berry over there, he's the manager, go ahead and thank him. In addition to the 400 hot dogs, I want to let you know that the American Legion cooked up 100 plus hot dogs, sent them over with the Conroe PD that was there. They sent them over to the dispatch to be handed out and distributed to the hardworking first responders. I want to take a minute and think about those first responders during these floods. These men and women, they were out there for you. If anybody deserves a hot dog and a Coke, that's these guys. Speaking of Cokes, there were some 20 cases of soda water and ice at the event that were consumed, and they were provided by Kroger's on 105 and Loop 336. And just so you know, that particular Kroger's was the second year in a row that Kroger's provided for the event. Thanks, Kroger's, for being part of the Conroe community. We appreciate you. There were even local companies out there, and these companies provide services to veterans, and they were out there offering help and advice. These companies made healthy cash donations to make this event possible because, believe it or not, it takes a lot to put this on. You got to rent the park, you got to rent the police department, et cetera, et cetera. The Military Veterans Peer Network was out there and always a big supporter of the Post.
Woo!
And yeah, that's Ashley. You're going to hear from Ashley in our next segment. Caliber Home Loans is another big supporter of the event. And I actually spent some time with that guy, Dwayne Hawkins, and I learned some stuff that I didn't know. And I thought that, hey, this is Douglas B. I know it all. But I learned some stuff about using my VA home loan. And Dwayne explained all the differences between using the home loan to buy a new home, get a mortgage, or to refinance. So I'm going to be visiting with him, and I encourage you all to do that also. The Walgreens was out there. The Walgreens on 75 in West Davis. They had an information booth out there offering up information about immunizations, and other things that they have. And I spent some time with Harold out there, too. You can expect to see Walgreens and the American Legion and Veterans Air working closely together in the coming months. We're going to make health care easier for us vets and our families. Dan, did you get your flu shot?
No, I don't get flu shots.
Yeah, I donate mine to the elderly and the infirmed. However, the nurse that gives me the shot tells me, well, Douglas B., you are the elderly and the infirmed. I don't know if that was a compliment or a dig.
Well, I did get a flu shot, and I still got sick last week, so.
Yay, Ashley. Yes, Ashley's sick. We're going to push her over to the corner because she makes me sick. She's in trouble. The event had a bunch of other sponsors, and I want to call them out. Donnie, over at Buckaloo Chevrolet, outstanding, thank you. Omar from State Farm Home Insurance, thank you, Omar. Bitter Glitter, U.S., and I encourage you to check out these companies because they're doing good things for the community. They're doing good things for us veterans. I encourage you to also take a look at bitterglitter.us, and I call them out simply because I have two of their items. They do inspirational, motivational stuff with a sarcastic twist. But they have one product that's my favorite. I got a poster of it, and it's called The Code. And I want to read this code to you. And when I saw it, I said to myself, this is a code that so closely matches my personal code that I need to have this. The code states this: All my life I have lived by a code, and that code is simple. You honor God, love your family, and defend your country. I thought that was really powerful. And I'm going to try to get Bitter Glitter on the show sometime coming up soon. I want to tell you about Kenny Smith over at the Honor-Bound organization. If you guys don't know about this organization, Honor-Bound has specific mission statements to take care of our active duty military families, both past, present, and in the future. Well, Kenny over at Honor-Bound was generous enough to donate a bunch of shirts to the Legion, and the Legion was letting them go for $20 a piece. Thank you, Kenny. Hell, Kenny's a great guy. When Kenny showed up, he even brought us over some specifically designed American Legion aprons. I didn't get one, but they looked really good. So thanks a lot. Go check out Honor-Bound. I think you'll be surprised at the good work that they're doing. You really should have come out for this event, or at least stayed if you didn't. I stayed for the entire event, and I noticed towards the end the crowds were getting thinner and thinner. So if you had stayed, the American Legion had a bunch of door prizes, and they gave them all out too. They had, in addition to the $80 worth of gift cards that Walgreens gave, they had 4 $25 gift cards from McKinsey's Barbecue. Thank you, McKinsey's. That's good eats out there. They had 4 buffet meals from the Golden Corral. They even had a $25 bar tab from Game On Sports Bar. And who do you think won that?
Oh, you're asking me. Oh, it was my wife. Yeah, she won the bar tab. So she's going to go out with somebody, probably not me, though, and get a little special.
Well, I think that we should all meet up at the bar and put it on Dangerous Dan's bar tab. Hey, did you bring your kids out to the park on Memorial Day? You should have. Home Depot was there with the kids' workshop. And I'm going to do a shout out for Marcy and Desiree. I know you're listening. I swear these two women out there, they had half of Conroe kids out there building wagons and painting. And every kid that built something and painted something, they got to take it home with them. That was free also. And it's really nice because they even presented me with my very own Home Depot apron. Yes, you'll see me sporting my orange apron walking around town. Let me know how you thought, how it went. If you went, your comments on it. I know that Ashley and Dan, both of you were there. How was it?
I had a great time. And actually, the weather held out because last year it rained. And,
oh, yeah.
I mean, it was humid, but it wasn't terribly hot. So that was a good thing.
I liked it, Doug, but I think next year we need a hot dog eating contest.
Ooh, that's a great
yes,
idea.
that's right. You told me about that, and I forgot.
Trying to get everyone involved.
And since we're all Army vets here, we can maybe make some green weenies so people can shout out on those.
Green weenies.
I don't know what that is.
The big green weenie? It's the military, the Army.
Oh.
They give you the big green weenie every day, all day.
You're the new Army, aren't you?
Oh, new Army.
I feel like I might have been in before you.
You were.
And I don't remember that. Nice.
We're gonna take
I'm into it.
We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back with Ashley Taylor from the Military Veteran Peer Network.
Been denied by that insurance company, or don't understand that complicated insurance report, or if you don't even know you have roof damage, we can help. We're Guardian Roofing and Exteriors, one of the few licensed roofers in Texas. We're certified with certainty, the best shingles in the business. So protect what's over your head and call us for a free inspection. We'll gladly take you through the insurance process.
Guardian Roofing and Exteriors, 713-230-8808. That's 713-230-8808.
On July 4th, we celebrate our independence, our freedom as a nation. As we do so, the wartime veterans of the American Legion ask you to remember those who fight to keep this great nation free. When you see a man or a woman in uniform or a veteran of our armed forces, stop them and thank them for their service and sacrifices. It is to them that we owe our freedom today. This message brought to you by the wartime veterans of the American Legion and this station.
You are listening to Veterans Air on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1.
Welcome back to Veterans Air. You're live in the studio with your host Douglas B. and our co-host Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man, and the stunning Ashley Taylor representing the Military Veterans Peer Network. I want to introduce to you Ashley right now. Now, Ashley wears a lot of different hats, but no matter what she's wearing, it's all about the veterans for her. I guess the easiest way to explain what Ashley does is to read her bio. This is what Ashley has to say about herself. Ashley is the Veterans Service Liaison for Tri-County Behavioral Health Care. She joined Tri-County in the fall of 2014. As the Veterans Service Liaison, her main focus is coordinating the state's premier mental health program for veterans. Funded by the DSHS and supported by the executive staff of the Texas Veterans Commission, the Military Veteran Peer Network works to enhance access to services for veterans. This is accomplished by creating a network of peers and services with the goal of bridging gaps between awareness and the unknown. Ashley is an Army veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq. She finished her enlistment as a sergeant with 3 Army Commendation Medals, an Army Achievement Medal, 2 Good Conduct Medals, a Combat Action Badge. After her service, she completed a bachelor's degree in social sciences from the University of Maryland. Yay, University of Maryland, that's where I got my first degree. And her master's, she got a master's degree in human behavior from Capella University. Ashley currently resides in Spring and with her husband and her 2 dogs. Ashley, welcome to Veterans Air. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us, and I want to personally thank you for your service to your country.
Thanks, Doug.
Let's jump right into this and ask, what do you do with Tri-County Behavioral Health Care, and what is a Veteran Service Liaison?
That's a great question, and I think the bio did touch a little bit on it, but it's basically community outreach for veterans programs and connecting them to those mental health services. So, because there's been a lot of question for why I'm with Tri-County, because we don't. The tricky part with the veterans program with Tri-County is that veterans who I come in contact with or programs I come in contact with really have little to do with the actual services that are provided by Tri-County in general, which is, in Tri-County, just as a little bit of background, is the local mental health authority for Montgomery, Walker, and Liberty, Texas. And it's one of 39 local mental health authorities in the entire state of Texas. They're all individually operated, so they're not all called Tri-County. And what's really cool about it is they've already been around. They've been a part of this community in Conroe since 1983. So they are, and it's community-based, and it's like that for all the centers in the state. So that's why when this contract became available with the Military Veteran Peer Network, it was a kind of a real logical step to put us with those local mental health authorities. And so my job as the Veteran Services Liaison is to connect with the community with the connections that Tri-County already has, but specifically for veteran services. So as the liaison, I'm basically the liaison between the community, and that's members of the community, organizations in the community, anyone in the community basically that wants to learn about veterans programs. I can be that liaison, that connector with the state program of mental health services for veterans.
Well, where does the Military Veteran Peer Network come in? How'd that get about?
Yes, that's a great question, and it is kind of confusing because it's still a learning process. It barely became a solidified program. So the Military Veteran Peer Network is not an organization; it is a program. In a nutshell, it's the state's mental health program for veterans. And so when it started back in 2010, roughly. It was funded through legislation, so Congress got together and were like, we need to throw some money at some veterans programs for mental health because of this alarming suicide rate, because of these shootings that are happening after the Fort Hood thing happened. And so this money was thrown at this initiative, and that's where the Military Veteran Peer Network was born. And so that's how it was funded initially. And with all that starting and figuring out how it needs to work within the different communities across the state, it was attached to the local mental health authorities and funded through DSHS, is the Department of State Health Services. So that's our kind of funding source through there. And basically what it is is it's a peer network. And so all the centers in the state, the local mental health authorities, operate this contract, the Military Veteran Peer Network. But we may do other things. So that's why I always like to say, yes, I'm the Veteran Services Liaison of Trey County, because my job is not only the Military Veteran Peer Network program, it's other liaison, any veteran stuff. But when it comes to the Military Veteran Peer Network program, it's a contract, so there's very specific. We have a statement of work that we have to, meet and make the state happy and make these requirements. And basically what we do is we enhance access to services for veterans for mental health purposes.
Let me ask you a question that's not pre-canned to throw you off here.
Okay,
so here we have a veteran
Yes.
that is looking for some mental health care. He's become aware that he needs some help. Mm-hmm. Does he go to the Military Veteran Peer Network, or does he go to the VA?
That is a choice he can choose. And so the beauty of the Military Veteran Peer Network program is that we don't actually provide the services, and that could sound like a negative thing, but in actuality it's awesome because it ties into what the whole veteran culture is. It is ingrained in us as veterans that if we need to know something, we're going to be trained how to do it, right? Because that's our whole military life. We're waiting to be given a briefing on it. We're waiting to be given...
Where's the TM?
Yeah, where's the TM? Where's the call and check from my platoon sergeant, from my squad leader, whatever they call it in the Marine Corps and Air Force. I don't even know. Do they call them platoon sergeants?
I have no idea. I'm armed.
Their leadership.
I think the Air Force calls them cheerleaders.
Terrible. So I do know they call their first
sorry,
sergeants first shirts. So whoever we're waiting to get a call from someone. And so that's what the beauty of this program is and that's how we enhance that access. So if a veteran is seeing Military Veteran Peer Network on one side and VA on one side, right? When they come to us, we're going to answer questions and we're going to say, here are your options, because there's not only the VA out there, because a lot of veterans aren't eligible for the VA, or they don't want to use the VA. They've tried the VA.
Hang on a second.
Am I getting ahead of myself?
Well, you said something that I think is really important. Mm-hmm. So the veteran here has a choice. Mm-hmm. He can come talk to the Military Veteran Peer Network, and you're going to go, hey, dude, here's all the things that you can do. Mm-hmm. And work with him and for him to decide what services he's going to use, what care he's going to get, as opposed to going to the VA. And the VA mental health does have a stigma associated to it. It has the stigma, whether real or imagined, that you go there, they pump you full of meds, or they put you in a padded room. So that might turn off a lot of veterans for seeking mental health.
Exactly.
So what I hear you saying to me, this is what I hear. I hear that if there's a veteran out there that's looking to find options for mental health, that the Military Veterans Peer Network is one of his stops that he should be making?
Absolutely. We would love to make contact with every veteran who's questioning, especially mental health treatment, but really any kind of treatment or any kind of services relating to their veteran status, because of that general lack of awareness of not knowing what's out there. It's so common for veterans to be like, this doesn't exist, we're getting the shaft, no one is doing anything for us, when in reality there are a plethora of programs and services out there for veterans that we just don't know about. And so what we like to do, and also another awesome thing about the program, is it's not just me and it's not just my staff. We also do a training for people who can come and learn about these programs, so they themselves can go out in the community and spread the word about these programs.
There's the peers and peer network.
Mm-hmm. Veterans helping veterans.
Do you guys work in conjunction with the VA, or are you just completely independent?
We definitely partner with them, not in an official capacity.
Okay.
But definitely, I often say I'm Switzerland.
Right.
I'm neutral, so I advocate for the VA, I advocate for other programs, because of the fact that we aren't actual service providers. So we can say, here's what the VA can offer you, but here's what these other programs can. So we're not like, you should do this one over this one. We're saying, here are your options. You choose what's best for you.
I have a question. You hear a lot about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, mm-hmm. and you hear PTSD and then you hear combat PTSD.
Yes.
Is there a difference between the two?
Absolutely, yes, and that's a great question, and there's actually quite a lot of controversy about it, because some people may not realize that PTSD, anyone can be affected from PTSD. So a lot of people may feel like veterans are kind of getting all this highlighted treatment and care when there's other people affected by PTSD as well. Law enforcement is affected by PTSD. Anyone who has been in a car accident could have PTSD. And so there's definitely a difference. That PTSD is in general any traumatizing event that causes a stress disorder, or combat PTSD, which is very specific, related specifically to combat.
I think the awareness of PTSD or combat PTSD is so prevalent these days with our soldiers coming back. It's because the suicide rate of veterans is so high. It's alarming. Any thoughts of why that is?
Yeah, actually, we are, and when I say we, I mean myself and a tiny little piece of this state program, right? There's a lot of work being done to try to figure that out. Why are veterans being so tragically affected by suicide? And the honest answer is we don't know why. But the fact of the matter is, way more veterans and service members are completing suicide, attempting and completing suicide, way faster and more prevalent than the civilian population. And there's a lot of theories of why. A couple theories are because of the stigma related to asking for help, because it's ingrained in veterans and service members and veterans to be strong.
We are trained to suck it up.
Drive on, drink water, you're fine.
It's
you
only
don't
a sucking
feel that
chest
way.
wound, don't worry about it.
Yes, I often use the analogy of the angel and the devil that sits on your shoulder. I often say you have your military trained self and your original self on one shoulder, on each shoulder. And so your original self is saying things like, why can't I sleep at night? Why am I having nightmares? Why can't I go to the store in the middle of the day because it's so crowded? I don't like being around a crowd. And then your military self is, because even if you're out of the military, but you still have that training, is telling you, you're fine. Just stay in your room. Don't go out. Just don't face it. Just protect yourself. And so there's this counter effects that are, we have to really retrain our brain out, because they didn't untrain us right when we got out. So kind of to break that mold.
Well, you know what? If you're listening to my voice right now and you're thinking about suicide and you don't want to go to the VA, I'm going to tell you right now that you can call Veterans Air 936. What is our number? I know our number. It's 936-344-3083. You can call Veterans Air. I'll answer the phone if you call me. And even better than that, if you don't want to talk to me and you want to try out, see what this Military Veterans Peer Network can do, you can contact Ashley at
936-521-6132. And that is only a Monday through Friday number, but I do want to encourage people to call the crisis line, the Veterans Crisis Line, 1-800-273-TALK, and press 1 for veterans. It does get some controversy with it, but the bottom line is it's the best resource out there. As with anything, it does have minor issues, but that's going to be the best case scenario. It's going to get you connected to specifically those veteran resources. And if you are having issues, that's the number you want to call.
You are not alone. If you're out there and you need us, you give us a call. I'm going to be right back after these messages with Ashley Taylor and the Military Veteran Peer Network.
Thanks, Doug.
On July 4th, we celebrate our independence, our freedom as a nation. As we do so, the wartime veterans of the American Legion ask you to remember those who fight to keep this great nation free. When you see a man or a woman in uniform or a veteran of our armed forces, stop them and thank them for their service and sacrifices. It is to them that we owe our freedom today. This message brought to you by the wartime veterans of the American Legion and this station.
Coming right up on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour. News, talk, and uncensored commentary for today's veterans with your host, Douglas B. We're pretty sure the Army didn't train him for this.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio with Veterans Air. Just to remind folks that you can catch the podcast of the show shortly after each airing on the first Tuesday at 1 p.m. And right now we're going to do our weather and traffic break for the Montgomery County area. Let's start with some weather. It's a nice, hot 87 degrees outside. Humidity is around 48%. It's fair weather. This afternoon will be mostly sunny with a high of 90 and a low around 65 tonight. Traffic conditions in the Montgomery County area. I'm looking at the map for I-45. It looks good to go northbound and southbound all the way into Houston through Willis, east to west on 105, 1488, 242, and of course the Parkway 99. I don't see any accidents or incidences at all. We're going to get right back to the Veterans Air right after these quick messages.
Are you interested in learning more about preparing quick, healthy, and safe meals for your family? Would you like to spend time with others learning tips and tricks, along with practicing and tasting nutritious food? If so, the On the Road to Healthy Living Mobile Cooking School is for you. Call Amy Ressler at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service at 936-539-7825 to find a class near you or volunteer to host a class.
You're back, Veterans Air with Ashley Taylor and the Military Veterans Peer Network. Just so you all know, Ashley was listening to that, and she's going to sign up for that cooking course.
I think so.
See, I knew her. Ash, in the last section, we were talking about PTSD and the stigma. The stigma. Well, it depends on what you do. The stigma of what goes along with that. And I brought that up. Why is there such a strong stigma accessing mental health? You're in the mental health community. Why don't we come out and do this? Why don't we go, help me?
You know, and it's tricky, and it definitely goes back to that angel and devil thing that I talked about for the military community. But mental health has a stigma with it in general, whether it's for the veteran community or not. Asking for help and saying something's wrong is something that kind of goes against our nature. You know, we, especially as adults, we want to believe that we can take care of ourselves, that we're fine, that if we're feeling this way, that it's nothing, that it's not a disorder. And so it's just tricky. There's a number of reasons. It's for the military community specifically. It's definitely our training. It's ingrained in us to be strong and suck it up and keep going. And then there's the feeling that maybe nothing's really wrong. Maybe I'll just get past this. And then there's the denial. You know, that nothing's wrong. I'm fine. And then there's also generally not knowing what's out there or not wanting to go and search for it because it's, again, saying something's wrong with me.
Well, you know, I think that's true. I also think that, and this is where the Military Veteran Peer Network, I think, fills the niche. We don't want to make the call to something official, to some VA operator that we don't know, to some state program, and have our name out there going, hey, well, you know, this guy, he sought mental health, so we need to go take away his guns.
Yes.
I think that having the option of talking to another vet, that I can pick up the phone and call Dangerous Dan and go, Dan, it's 3 a.m. and I still can't sleep.
Yes.
Sounds like we're going to Waffle House.
It looks like we're going to Waffle House. Yes, they know us well there. They do. I should give them a shout out. Thank you, Waffle House. I think that's important. As a veteran, this is a veteran show, so as a veteran, we may recognize that we're not firing on all 8 cylinders anymore. But we don't know what we can do. We've done the best that we can to stop digging the hole that we're in. We've done the best to lace our boots up and try to climb out. But we can't.
Absolutely. And that's what's so important too, is recognizing when it is something that maybe I need to talk to my friend about, versus there's something seriously wrong and I'm afraid for my life or something that I'm going to do. So kind of knowing those signs and symptoms so that you can tell, is this something that I can just talk to my friend about, or is this something where I need to seek professional help for. And so that's something that what we do too is educating the community and educating veterans on our own. Here's what PTSD looks like. Here's what the risks of suicide look like. Here's the kind of the factors, if you will, that we need to really take seriously. You know, if someone, for example, is potentially suicidal. So if you're noticing a change in someone where if they used to be dressed to the nines all the time and all of a sudden they're coming in looking like, you know, Joe the ragbag, then that's a concern. And you want to say things like, are you okay? You know, what's going on? Or if they start giving away possessions, or if they start talking about, I'll be fine next week because it'll all be over. You know, making comments like that. Those are huge red flags that we really want to pay attention to. And that's the difference between just needing a friend to talk to and going to Waffle House with this person is in serious crisis and needs assistance immediately on a professional level. So really knowing what those differences are.
Well, are there, I don't know, are there even treatments for PTSD, or there's just, you know, VA Skittles?
That's a great question. Yes, there's a plethora of treatments.
I love that word, plethora.
Plethora. I love plethora because there really is a plethora of everything. You know, if you think about it, we have options. And sometimes it can be information overload, and it's really finding what works. But it's that first step, of course, is the hardest with saying you need help. So let's say someone got past that hardest part and saying, I need help, I need some assistance. And maybe they're at the VA, perfect, you know, they're in with their mental health professional, and the mental health professional is going to say, here's what your options are. And there's different treatments or therapies, and they are typically cognitive-based, behavior-based. So you're going to...
All right, you're going to have to dumb it down for me.
They're going to... It's basically... And that's a huge stigma, too, that people don't know what treatment looks like. You know, is it going to be a 30-day inpatient thing where I'm away from my family? And no, it can be. But it can also be something where it's 1 hour a week, 1 hour a month of this, whatever this treatment is. So cognitive, meaning it's going to rework how your thought process is with your brain, and also with your behavior. So changing your behavior to think, when you drive under that overpass, not every overpass is going to be rigged with a wire that's going to decapitate the gunner, right? Not every dead animal on the side of the road is going to have an IED in it. You know, kind of reshaping our natural behavior from what worried us and put us on high alert in the military to what's okay now. Changing that. Also, there's some therapies, prolonged exposure therapy, that kind of, instead of keeping that thought that you were traumatized by in the back of your head, and have it come out in nightmares or in negative situations that you can't control, kind of bringing it out and exposing it so that not that you can feel okay that it happened, but that you can associate it with something and still function.
That's the one I do with the VA right now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And are you having good results with it?
I haven't been in it long, but I would say that I'm hopeful.
That's good. And that's good. And that's because sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I've heard veterans say they're not even ready to get to that point to talk about it. So when they get thrown into prolonged exposure therapy, it's too much.
Right. I'd also say treatment's very subjective to the individual. Yeah. And if you feel your treatment isn't working, you should probably tell your doctor.
Exactly.
They'll definitely have another one there for you.
Yeah, that gives me the chills because that's exactly right. You know, talking about the different options because, again, it's in our veteran mindset that we're going to think you get what you get. So if you go into your mental health appointment and they're like, we're going to start prolonged exposure therapy, and you're thinking, I'm stuck with it.
I would be adverse to that just because of its name.
Prolonged. You're like, why is this going to take so long?
What? I'm already afraid of it, and you're going to make me. You're going to subject that to me for a long time.
And that's something else too. Talking. You know, there's a lot of focus on how mental health professionals focus on providing treatment now. You know, being upfront that this is what this is going to look like. This is how it's going to be. You know, 12 sessions of an hour-long appointments, or you know, kind of saying, and hopefully this is what it's like at the beginning. This is what it's like in the middle, and then so forth. And then there's also there's a huge focus on self-care. Self-care can be provided to you free of charge through your own self. You know, self-care. Doug, what are some examples of self-care that you could think of?
We're going to the range, Dangerous Dan. we're firing lead downrange.
And that could be for you, yes, or going for a walk, practicing yoga, doing deep meditation.
China buffet, Dan.
China buffet.
It's definitely not where I thought self-care was going. But
definitely things we want to focus on. The thing about self-care is it needs to be positive and recovery based. So like if going to your favorite bar and drinking until you pass out is what makes you feel good, we may not want to advocate for that, because that's definitely not a positive recovery base, because drinking, right, so try to maintain the kind of recovery based things that make you feel good, not temporarily, but things that make you feel good in the long run, kind of retraining our brain to think positively. So self-care is a huge thing in addition to those treatments.
This is great. It really is. And I don't care whether you're going to the Military Veteran Peer Network or you're going to the VA, Dan. I still expect Waffle House at 3 a.m. and China buffet lunches, because they're like the staple of my month. I know a lot of guys out there that they're like me. They do want to reach out. They do want to help their buddy, but they might not have a buddy to help. They might not know how to go about to do that. Suppose somebody calls you in the middle of the night and says, I need help. And you go, damn, I don't know what the hell to do, but what was that 1-800 number? How can people get involved? How can other vets get involved with this Military Veteran Peer Network?
And there are a number of... Do you want me to say the word again?
Sure, say it.
There's a plethora.
Say it with us, Conroe.
Plethora of ways. The easiest way is there is an app for Texas veterans. It's free to download. It has a bunch of direct links to statewide phone numbers. It also has a direct link to the crisis line. And a little caveat about that crisis line is the person in crisis doesn't have to be the one to call it. Of course, that would be the best case scenario. But if you're in a house with someone that's in crisis, if you know of a friend that's in crisis, you call that number. You call that number and get advice from a mental health professional. That's just a little side note about that. But as far as getting involved with this particular chapter of the Military Veteran Peer Network, reach out to me. I'm very accessible online. Google Veteran Services in Montgomery County. My information comes up. Locate me through Veterans Air. Locate me through the American Legion, through the VFW. Any organization in Montgomery County that operates with veterans should know how to get in contact with me, and that's how you get involved, whether it's just answering questions, wanting to get an education on local veteran resources, or things that are affecting veterans such as PTSD or suicide. We can come out and provide that training to the community to provide that education. So I just encourage you to find me if you have a question.
Well, you're gonna put all of these numbers in the app and whatnot. You're gonna send that over to me in an email, so I can just cut and paste and put it on VeteransAir.us.
Yes.
Outstanding. I'll even put it on the Facebook page for you people that never check my website and just go to the Veterans Air Facebook page. You mentioned that the Military Veterans Peer Network was a contract, and that you were funded by the state. So are you going to be around next year, or are they going to cut your funding?
So here's the thing. We've been continuously funded through the legislative year sessions, and because what congressman is going to say, no, take that funding away from veterans programs, right? So we haven't in this last legislative session that happened in 2015, I guess? Whichever one the last session was. I think it was 2015, last year. So we didn't get any additional funding, but they didn't cut the program, right? So when we go into session next year in 2017, we'll figure out what happens. But we're definitely here going through 2017. I really think that the only way this program is going to... it's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to grow. And speaking of more partnerships with the VA, there is we're hopefully going to be getting closer with them as more information comes out about the Clay Hunt Act. So that's my little tidbit as we end. I encourage y'all to look into the Clay Hunt Act and see on a national level where these programs are going for veterans and mental health, and hopefully that's where the Military Veteran Peer Network is headed.
Outstanding. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I just said right on. That's it.
Clay Hunt Act. We're going to get that link from Ashley, and we're going to put it over on VeteransAir.us. We have to take a little break here. When we come back, I'm going to let you know what's happening in June and July for all around Montgomery County. So you vets, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be back in a minute with more news, talk, and commentary from Veterans Air with Douglas B. on Lone Star Community Radio.
On July 4th, we celebrate our independence, our freedom as a nation. As we do so, the wartime veterans of the American Legion ask you to remember those who fight to keep this great nation free. When you see a man or a woman in uniform or a veteran of our armed forces, stop them and thank them for their service and sacrifices. It is to them that we owe our freedom today. This message brought to you by the wartime veterans of the American Legion and this station.
Coming right up on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour. News, talk, and uncensored commentary for today's veterans with your host, Douglas B. We're pretty sure the Army didn't train him for this.
Welcome back to Veterans Air. I'm your host, Douglas B., along with my co-host, Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man. And we have the beautiful Ashley Taylor from the Military Veteran Peer Network in the studio with us today. I know that you're all curious about how Dangerous Dan got to be the Muffin Man, so I encourage you to go over to VeteransAir.us. That's VeteransAir.us on the web, and send Dan the question, why is he Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man? And Dan, I have to ask, do you own it now?
I kind of have to, Doug. You gave it to me. So I now own it.
We have events for June and July, mostly for June. So pay attention, get something to write with. I will post these on Veterans Air. I know I always say that I'm going to post these on Veterans Air and the Facebook page, and then like a week later, you're sending me emails going, I thought you were going to post them. Yeah, I'm slow, but pay attention. Okay, so no particular order because I didn't put them in dated order, but these are the events for June. Coming up on the 14th of June, it's Flag Day, America. And there's going to be a ceremony at the VFW Post 4709 here in Conroe at 3 p.m. It's Flag Day. Time to change your ratty old flags. I've already done mine. And you're wondering to yourself, well, I know that I just can't throw the United States flag in the garbage. What am I supposed to do with it? You're supposed to take it down to the VFW 4709, or, if you prefer, you can come by Ryan's Restaurant on the second Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. and drop off your flags to the American Legion back in the Military Honors Room, and we will give a proper flag disposal ceremony for it. Dan.
Just a quick thing. Check your flags and make sure they're not made in China, because that would just be ironic.
That would be sad.
I would say turn it in if it says it's made in China.
I agree. Do you guys know what the...
Probably tapped.
Yeah.
do you guys know that the 14th, there's another important thing going on the 14th? It's somebody's birthday. Do you know whose birthday it is on the 14th?
Yes.
Let me guess. Do
the
they have
Army's.
a big green weenie?
It is the Big Green Weenies. It's the 241st birthday of the United States Army. Hoorah!
Man, it sounds old.
Yes.
I think it's the oldest.
Well, you know, everybody had an army. They didn't always have a Navy or the Marines. And the Air Force is kind of young. But yes, the 14th is also the United States Army's 241st birthday. So make sure when you wake up, you head on over to Facebook, to the U.S. Army's Facebook page, and wish them a happy birthday. The VFW here in Texas is having their state convention 15th through the 19th. You can contact the Post VFW 4709 to check out if you want to go over to the state conference. Speaking of the 19th, it is Father's Day. Call your dad. Allison, are you listening? Call your father on Father's Day. Yes, he wants a Leatherman Super Tool. Let's see what else we have. All these come from Ashley, by the way. The Liberty County Veterans Services is having a Veterans Information Seminar on June 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
This Thursday.
That's this Thursday. And it says here that the first 20 veterans receive a free steak dinner by VFW Post 1839
In Cleveland. Isn't that awesome?
I love steak.
So
I might go just for the steak.
And it's going to be a good event. We actually do this event quarterly with the Liberty County Veteran Services office. We did this back in March, and we had a bunch of representatives from the different departments in the VA come and present in their different sections. And so this time we're focusing on the different organizations other than the VA that operate in the Liberty County area, because a lot of people are like, there's nothing out here for veterans. False. There's a lot. And so that's going to be awesome, and free steak dinner with the VFW in Cleveland.
It's going to be over at the Repair Breach Ministries at 103 East Crockett in Cleveland, Texas. I'm going to put this out on the website. No, it'll be on Facebook today. I promise you it's going to be on Facebook today. Hey, Friday, June 10th, it's the Veterans Job Connection from 0900 to 1430 hours. I like that. The United Way is doing this, the Warriors Workforce. And where's this going to be? It doesn't tell me where it's going to be. But you know what? I'll check it out and get it to you. It'll be this Friday, June 10th. Veterans Job Connection. We have on June 15th coming up the Veterans VA Disability Benefits Appeals Legal Clinic. As free legal consultations, attorneys will provide free legal consult and advice for VA disability benefit appeals. You have to, all veterans must have received